Hi, Senator Hough here for our weekly update. And last week at Annapolis was Gun Day. What that is a day when the majority of Second Amendment and gun legislation is heard in Annapolis. And so in the Senate, we heard a variety of measures. We heard bills to enact further gun control. We heard legislation to make Maryland a shall-issue state. So just to go through a couple of the bills and what we talked about, on the gun control front, again, the liberals haven't got the message whatsoever. Despite a couple years ago, Maryland passing Senate Bill 281, which was a heavily restrictive gun control legislation that restricted your rights on owning guns, required handgun qualification licenses, regulated a large number of firearms. Despite this huge sweeping legislation going into place, murders are actually on the rise. Baltimore City is seeing a record number of homicides. So in spite of their argument that more gun control leads to less crime, we're actually seeing the reverse of that. And so more gun control, restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens, has led to more crime in Maryland. The numbers just bear that out. But yet, in spite of those facts, they still, those who want to restrict Second Amendment rights have come in with legislation that, one, would require that for transfer of long guns, so these are shotguns and hunting rifles, things like that, that would require that those be treated like a transfer of a regulated firearm, so a handgun, things like that. So typically in the past, Maryland has not, and most states do not regulate the transfer, let's say, of a family member to family member, or letting someone, one farmer letting another farmer borrow a shotgun. Usually these are hunting guns. We haven't got into, even O'Malley under his far left policies on guns didn't go that far. And is my hope that we don't go down this road either of infringing on people's ability to hand down guns, shotguns and hunting guns, things like that, to family members, that this legislation wouldn't go forward. Also, there was an attempt to regulate antique firearms. Again, this was really far out there. We now do not regulate antiques as we do these other guns. Again, so Maryland has passed so much gun control in the last couple of years that now they're down to going after hunting, shotguns, and antique firearms. And lastly, one of the another bad piece of legislation that's already passed through the House would make it a crime punishable up to 3 years in prison to have a firearm on a college campus. The problem with this being, because Maryland's gun laws are so restrictive, the only people that are legally carrying that would not fall under another crime in the state is somebody that's legally transporting the firearm or somebody that has a right to carry permit. So you're going to have somebody that's doing everything right, who's allowed to have the gun, who's transporting it correctly, and just happens to end up on a college campus, and now they're going to face a 3-year penalty. So that legislation is going to be coming up here in the next couple days, I imagine, for a vote and discussion in my committee. And as I mentioned, my theory is that I am opposed to any further gun control in this state, as the facts have shown it doesn't work. The facts have shown it just prevents law-abiding citizens from getting guns, and that criminals will continue to get guns, and in fact will be more emboldened now. And on the positive front, again, legislation has been introduced to make Maryland a shall-issue state, to join the 41 other states, according to the National Rifle Association, that allow, that are shall issue or don't even require a permit for right to carry permits. This is the number one unsolicited thing I hear from my constituents, that they're angry about having to live in a state where they have to show a good and substantial reason for getting a right to carry permit, that in fact just self-defense isn't a good enough reason in this state. So that's an update of the issues going on, and I hope that all those who care about the Second Amendment will continue to watch what's going on this session and keep abreast of the issues, as your rights are going to be discussed down here. And those of us that value the Second Amendment will continue to oppose gun control and continue to push through legislation that encourages the right to keep and bear arms.